What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And aloha, America. Welcome to the show today. It is Monday, March 30th, 2020, almost to the end of the month here, getting into April, getting into spring, and we've got a lot to talk about today. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. That's 800-313-9443. Mike is in our control room, ready to answer the phone, put you on the air with your comments, questions, and opinions here. So let's get right on into it. First of all, for all of the readers of WhatReallyHappened.com, we seem to finally be getting on top of some of these issues that have been plaguing us ever since the move to a virtual private server. We used to have a dedicated server, a little physical box. It was all ours to play with. I had root access. I had a compiler. I could basically trick it out the way I want. And SiteGround just all of a sudden one day said, we've decided we're not doing dedicated servers anymore. We're moving you to a VPS. And it's been nothing but headaches ever since. But we seem to finally be getting it back in line, and got a few more things we got to do to it. But overall, as of today, it's performing a lot better than it has been. So thanks for your patience, for all you readers to WhatReallyHappened.com. All right, getting on into it. And I hate to say I told you so. No, that's not true. I really enjoy it when I get to do this here. We're back, remember, when Trump said he was going to get the economy going by Easter? And I said, I don't think so. Well, Trump has backed off of that now. He's saying the economy may not get going until June the 1st, and that Easter was more of an aspiration than a real official declaration, although it certainly sounded official and it sounded like a declaration when he said it. So we're looking at least at June 1st here. And I have my doubts about that one as well. And even if they say coronavirus is gone, everybody goes back to work, recovering from the economic damage we have suffered is going to take a very, very long time. Now, Dr. Fauci is telling CNN that he expects between 100,000 and 200,000 coronavirus deaths in the U.S. based on what we're seeing. Well, we're not sure what he's seeing or how he's seeing it, because MIT has come out saying that Dr. Fauci is relying on a 1950s outdated one-size-fits-all non-personalized approach to medicine and public health. And worst, it's derived from a fake science understanding of the immune system. So they're saying his numbers may not be reliable. And again, that's been the problem all along, a lack of reliable, certain information from which we can all form our conclusions. And the stuff is all over the place still. We have those who are saying it's no big deal, it's no worse than the flu. Then we have the others who are saying it's going to be a slate wiper. And somewhere in between is the reality. Now, the good news is the FDA has issued an emergency authorization for hydroxychloroquine to be prescribed to coronavirus patients. And apparently Dr. Vladimir Zelenko reported he is now successfully treating he has treated 699 COVID-19 patients in New York for the coronavirus with a 100% success rate using hydroxychloroquine in combination with azithromycin and antibiotic and zinc sulfate. And apparently the hydroxychloroquine prevents the cytokine storm that causes so much of the discomfort and the breathing problems, and the zinc kills the virus. Now, France has officially sanctioned a drug after 78 of 80 patients recover from COVID-19 within 5 days. They're using chloroquine. And over in Russia, they're having a lot of luck with another variation on the quinine theme, mefloquine. Russian pharmacists are saying that this is definitely going to work. The drug has been around since the 1970s. It blocks the degenerative effect COVID-19 has on cells and does not allow the virus to replicate further. And also, mefloquine's immunosuppressive effect prevents the inflammatory response caused by the disease. So there are treatments out there, there are cures out there. The American pharmaceutical companies are very upset because all of these quinine derivatives, they're very inexpensive. They use them in fish tank cleaner, by the way, which doesn't mean go out and buy fish tank cleaner and drink it because there's other stuff in there because it's really bad for you. But I mean, it's an inexpensive chemical, and the pharmaceutical industries don't like inexpensive cures. They want very expensive cures that they own. And that's why we've had so many of our politicians, governors, and mayors literally threatening doctors not to prescribe hydroxychloroquine and the others. So another story about the same thing. Doctor up in New York is using hydroxychloroquine, zinc, and Z-Pak, and basically says, again, the chloroquine stops the cytokine storm immune reaction. The Zithromax stops the bacterial pneumonia. Zinc kills the virus. And apparently there's a video explaining the success with hydroxychloroquine and zinc. His treatment resulted in the shortness of breath issue being resolved in 4 to 6 hours. In his study, he had 0 deaths, 0 hospitalizations, and 0 intubations. Okay, now, over in Iran, they are rather upset because U.S. sanctions on life-saving drugs are leading to a humanitarian catastrophe. This is from Zarif, Javad Zarif, their foreign minister. And he's basically out there saying that if the United States is serious about eradicating COVID-19 from the planet, they should lift the sanctions and allow Iran, which has been very heavily hit by COVID-19, to have access to the medications that could lead to treating their people. And we're not talking about military people. We're talking about the civilians. We're talking about the Iranian civilians, the Iranian fathers, the Iranian mothers, the Iranian children, the Iranian car dealers, the Iranian bakers, the Iranian school teachers. Why are they considered valid targets in what is a de facto biological war? Meanwhile, Roger Severino, the Civil Rights Office Director at the Department of Health and Human Services, has posted a bulletin warning entities, meaning doctors and hospitals and clinics, receiving Health and Human Services funds against deciding which patients can receive treatment on the basis of discrimination, including age and disability. Well, I'm rather surprised that the disability one would be there. But, you know, at some point, if we've got more patients than medications, somebody's going to have to make a call who gets the treatment and who doesn't. I'm afraid that the elderly will be on the low end of the priority list because we've had our lives, you know, and it's certainly more profitable from the government's point of view to be curing and treating the young who've got a whole lifetime of tax payments to look forward to. Now, Bill de Blasio is threatening to permanently close New York City churches if they don't comply with social distancing. This is going to lead to a very interesting case, I'm sure, before the Supreme Court regarding the separation of church and state. Okay. But on the other hand, you've got the public health issue out there. And so Mayor Bill de Blasio is threatening to permanently close places of worship if they break social distancing efforts, were doomed at reducing the outbreak of COVID-19 in what is now the hardest hit city in the United States. Okay, here's an article called The 26-Foot Sneeze Zone, basically saying that the coronavirus social distancing limit as it's currently set, 6 feet, it's too short because infectious droplets can fly much further than the current 6-foot restriction. Now, over the weekend, Claire and I were watching the Mythbusters Marathon. We were binge watching it because we really like that show. And they made a big point of one episode where they showed how far a sneeze can fly. Now, the study or the myth that they were busting was that droplets will fly 30 feet. And in their experiments, they only went about 17 or 18. But that's still a lot further than the 6-foot radius that everybody is suggesting. But 6 foot has already proven to be impractical in places like subways and elevators and theaters and whatnot. Trying to say 26 foot or 17 foot is really not going to work. By the way, over at the Lebanon Fire Department, they've got a sign out front saying, if you can smell the fart, you're not far enough apart. Sort of a more earthy version of my cologne test. All right, let's start taking phone calls. Steve in West Virginia, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike. Hope you're doing well. I talked to you on Friday about the gold and silver, the gold and silver, what's happening with it. And right about, 5 callers later, a guy called up and said that you can't get gold and silver and that the premium is high on it. And I want to let you know that what happens is gold about 2 weeks ago was close to $20 an ounce. It was right up close to $19 an ounce. And then all of a sudden, I'm talking about silver.
Silver, yeah.
All of a sudden the bottom dropped out of it. So the bottom dropped out of it and it got down to $11. When that happens, my spread differential goes down, and like Kidco or JB Silver or JB Gold and Silver or any of those dealers, they're not gonna sell the gold for the spot price. So the spread differential goes up. So it looks like they're out of silver and gold, but they're not. They're just not going to sell it for if it's at $19 and it goes down to $11.73, you're not going to be able to buy it for them with the same spread. The spread's going to go up on it. So these guys that are telling you there is no gold and silver, they don't know what they're talking about. There is gold and silver. You just have to pay the spread differential. So if the spot price was 19 and goes down to 11.73 in a week, you'll still be able to get the gold, but you're going to be paying the $19, for silver, you're going to be paying the $19 an ounce.
Well, there was an article. Yeah, there was an article we posted to whatreallyhappened.com where apparently Credit Suisse is now out there saying, don't even bother asking for gold bars. They're just not available.
Yeah, you can still get the coins though, because I know some USA Gold coin and the gold company is selling them. The other thing is I hope most of your listeners know that when you look at the COMEX, there's a cash settlement mechanism built in. They do not have to deliver gold to you. They have it written in the contract that they can settle in cash. So that's how they get out of any kind of short squeeze. They don't have to deliver the gold. All they have to do is pay you what the gold is worth on the spot price.
Well, I noted earlier today, Roslyn Capital, which sells gold coins and gold bars, they're still advertising like crazy on TV. So apparently they've got assets ready to go.
Yeah, Mike, some of those, and I know like probably you and others have been, that have radio programs have been asked to do commercials and stuff for them. But some of those you got to be really careful because they're going to sell you the gold way over what it's worth. Yes. If you look at like pre-1933 Saints and Eagles and stuff like that, I mean, you shouldn't be paying more than on the circulated ones. You shouldn't be paying more than $60 or $70 over the spot price for those. And then Rosalind, those guys will sell you the coins at $200 over the spot. So I don't trust those. I would go to Kidco or one of those other dealers that deals in a lot of volume, and you can go with that. But the main thing is the spread differential. When silver goes from $19 an ounce to $11.73 in 10 days, you're not going to get the $11.73 price. You're not going to get a silver dollar at $11.73. You're going to have to pay that spread differential because they're not going to take a loss. The dealers are not willing to take a loss. So that's all I wanted to point out.
All right. Well, thank you for the information. And yeah, you got to be really, really careful when you're buying and selling precious metals. And especially right now, you should never buy for numismatic value, where they say, this is a gold commemorative coin of whatever, because numismatic value is a matter of fashion. It can come and go, on a whim. You can buy for as close to the melt price as you can.
The best thing to buy are those pre-1933 coins. because they're old, they're attractive. There's no questionability. Very little questionability as far as authentic or anything like that. Those double eagles and the Saints. Those are the best thing to buy.
All right. Well, thank you for the information. Thank you for the call. We're going to switch over to Dustin in New Jersey. Aloha, Dustin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
I'm still under the weather, but I got my test back, and it's negative on the coronavirus. Thank God.
Well, good. Congratulations. Do they know what's wrong?
The hospitals are like, it's hard to get in there without talking to the robot at the front door. So if you have like a real bad ailment, you got to like talk to a robot in the front door because they're not seeing just anybody anymore. Yeah. Hey, Mike, I got to respond with the gold thing. Like, I don't care about the gold coins, the fancy markings on them. If you can get gold bars of the 999.95, right? That's it, right? Like that's it. Like, you don't want to spend more for like a fancy gold coin. You know what I mean? Like, this is to preserve your wealth. It's like an insurance policy. So if you can get it right now, which is hard because the place I was getting it, it's all auto notify. Good luck. But it's a wealth preservation. It's not about making money on gold or silver. It's just to preserve your, and it's an insurance to preserve your wealth. But you're not going to be like a millionaire from it, okay? You just can't go into that thinking you're going to sell it and buy a Ferrari or something. It's not going to happen, But Mike, I got to talk about this. It's Ron, that dude DeSantis, the governor of Florida, he finally must have seen the real numbers he was getting because he's locking down the state now. It's like too late, though. I looked, I'm like, should have done this before the spring breakers came. Like, I don't understand how stupid these people are, Mike. And the same with, Maryland. You see Maryland, they're telling people stay home. Why is it, I don't understand what they don't get. Like, what don't they understand of, why would you wait this long to do something?
Well, it's all about the almighty dollar. Spring break is a huge moneymaker for Fort Lauderdale and the area around there, just like Mardi Gras is a huge moneymaker for New Orleans. And, of course, now the mayor of New Orleans is trying to say, well, we only had one case there back when Mardi Gras was happening, and nobody told us it was going to be that much of a problem. But, of course, now New Orleans is emerging as a new hot zone.
But I'm hearing, one case could be 3 to 9 or more than that. So 3 times 1, 3 times 3, 9 times 3, that adds up. You go home, how many people you got in your home? One person gets sick. If you have 3 people at home, one person gets sick, 2 don't. Where's that one person go? You know what I mean? It's just a stupidity. And the same with the UK and Sweden. Mike, I saw a picture from Sweden the other day that shows a bus full of people or a train full of people. Nobody's got any mask on or it's like a stupidity, and it's a crowded, jam-packed environment where there ain't no 6 feet apart. They're saying you should be 20. Mike, I saw a video where it showed 2 guys talking with some infrared light, where you can see the particles coming out of their mouths. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
Isn't that scary? It's like you don't know what you're
scary. Anyway,
you don't know what's coming out of your mouth.
I got to put you on hold. We got to take a break. Okay. We'll be right back. Aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And once again, a reminder, Republic Broadcasting is holding a fundraising drive. And folks, we wouldn't be asking unless we really, really need your help, both at Republic Broadcasting and whatreallyhappened.com. And it's hard for us to ask because we understand you're struggling just as much as we are. Everybody's, waiting for those Coronavirus Relief Act checks to show up. And Again, a heartfelt thank you to everybody who has donated to Republic, who has donated to whatreallyhappened.com. And if you would care to do so for the first time or again, the postal address to send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. The network thanks you. And of course, there's a little donate page at whatreallyhappened.com with a postal address and a PayPal link as well. All righty, so getting on back to the phone calls, we were talking with Justin in New Jersey, who does not have the coronavirus, although he's dealing with some issue there. And I know that little 6-foot recommendation, first of all, we already know it's inadequate and it's not always possible, especially when you're on things like trains. But different countries are taking the CV-19 to differing degrees of seriousness. And there are some places where they're just saying, no, it's not a big deal. You know, drink some vodka and go back to work, was one quote I heard.
Well, India's got it only at 1.5 feet. That ain't enough. If anybody's listening from India, you got to spread it out a little. You know, I mean, I know there's a lot of people there, but I mean, that's not enough. Mike, remember, I think I called last week and I talked about that they did in China, that guy who got on that bus from he was from Wuhan.
Yes.
And he got everybody infected on that bus because that bus was from a different province, I believe. That bus has to be more than like 20-something foot long. So that means that depends on the aerosol of the breath, right? And that particle, the water droplets in your mouth, right? If you cough, that can spread out. So, I mean, it's just different variables. But, I mean, people should not be standing next to each other. That's the bottom line, right? I mean, that's it. You know, I mean, you got to keep your distance from people and be street smart about this. But, Mike, I'm just... Like I said last week, it's just this country and the UK is just all over the map with this.
Yes.
Like Trump should have put a nationwide lockdown. You want to get rid of this? You do a nationwide lockdown, and you slowly bring the economy back by having different sectors wear face, N95s or higher and gloves. That's it. If you don't have that, then it's going to be a lockdown for a long time, folks, because in June, if you lift it, if there ain't no mask, what's the use? It's going to spread again. You know, this is not a spring, summer, fall, winter thing. It's a constant thing because of Africa's got it. So they got a hot temperature over there. You know, so there's a lot of things they don't know about this, but I mean, where's the mask? Where's the mask, Mike? Like, where is the millions of masks? I mean, my God, Mike. Paul from New Jersey was right. $7 trillion down the tubes for Iraq, Afghanistan. 10 aircraft carriers and nowhere to go. You know, bulletin bombs for everybody. No mask and PPEs for anybody, right? Like, what a joke. You know, like, the West is effed. If you look at Sweden, they're effed. But we're effed too because there's just no common guidance, like to bring us all together, say shut everything down. The economy's already effed, people, okay? Yeah. You take that as the template. It's effed. It doesn't matter getting it back up. We're already at this point in time. The thing is to get masks and gloves and the economy back up to snuff, but there's nothing. Everything is discombobulated. They're saying, like, you got to bid on each state's got to bid on something. What is this? It's a joke, Mike. I mean, come on. You know, like, oh yeah, by the way, Cheyenne Mountain, didn't they go into lockdown?
Yes, they did. They've got a crew in there that's basically they're in isolation and quarantine. So nobody better attack us just because of the coronavirus.
Yeah, and Trump, for God's sake, lift the sanctions on everybody. I mean, what kind of morals, you know? What kind of morals, besides those preachers who telling all their parishioners to come and pray? You heard about that, too. Like, there's an arrest warrant for one of the pastors in the megachurch.
Yes.
Did you hear about that? Yeah,
I heard about that.
Where is their morals for the people who are giving them all that donations? It's just, Mike, it's just a stupidity in this country of just an ignorance. Why would you bring hundreds of people together, unless you're told by the pastor or that woman Trish Reagan on Fox News or Bill O'Reilly saying it was a sniffle? All right, Mike, I'm getting off the air. Have a good night. And it's just an ignorance, and people better wake up because this is not a sniffle and the flu, okay? Have a good night.
All right, we'll be back after these few words. And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. My goodness, the phone lines are just absolutely loaded up right now, so let's go to Jim in Illinois. Aloha, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael. Do you have any comments or thoughts regarding Germany's financial minister killing himself?
Yeah, I'm looking at that one, and I know it's been declared a suicide, but this was a guy who had, a wife and a family, and It wasn't the finance minister for the entire country. It was one of the regional finance ministers, but I'm having to wonder, I'm not ready to just accept suicide on face value.
Right. I'm wondering, did he know there were certain things going on and it might be exposed soon?
I think that's generally, if we are looking at an assassination, I would say that's the most likely motive.
Right. And the other thing, this afternoon, the St. Louis Federal Reserve, they stated 46 million Americans will lose their job probably by the summertime.
Boy, that's pretty bad. By the way, these coronavirus relief checks that are showing up, apparently cut their employees' wages and salaries back by just exactly that amount.
Wow. Well, do you think we're definitely going to be heading toward a depression?
I think, yes. I think we're heading into a depression, a bad one.
Right. And the final question, and this is something I asked you before. Donald Trump knew about this back in November, December. Why did he wait 3 months? I think a lot of lives could have been saved.
I think back in November, December, it was assumed to simply be a Chinese problem. And, certainly from the point of view of the U.S. government, anything bad that happens to China is a good thing.
Right. So, well, Michael, you take care of yourself.
All right, thanks an awful lot. Let's switch over to Dan in Washington State. Dan, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Dan, are you there?
Oh, hopefully my phone doesn't cut out. Yeah, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now, but you could be a little closer to your microphone. Dan, are you there? Okay, we seem to be having some telephone problems, so let's go over to Paul in Montana, and hopefully Dan will get his technical issues worked out. Paul, are you there? Paul in Montana, are you there? Okay, we seem to be having some phone difficulty. Let's try Peter in Los Angeles. Peter, are you there?
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Who am I talking to?
This is Tim in North Dakota.
Tim in North Dakota. My goodness, we missed a few phone calls here. All right, what's on your mind today?
I'll be real quick, Mike. I've been seeing all these videos where all the people, they're going around to the hospitals and they're empty. There's nobody there. They're going in, they're filming outside, they're showing everybody just kind of standing around, all from around the country. Recently, right before I got on the phone, there was a guy down in Louisiana. He drives up and they have all their tents, all their triage stations set up. It's deserted. There's nobody at any of the hospitals. So something doesn't add up. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, did you see any of that or?
Well, I've seen one or two, and I've seen a couple of videos that are making the opposite case, that the hospitals are jammed. We're certainly seeing an overreaction in the media to all of this, And like I said, we've got two extreme points of view. It's no big deal. It's a slate wiper, and somewhere in between lies reality. But the only thing that we know for certain is we don't know anything for certain.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't, because even my sister-in-law, she works at the local, like a big hospital. They sent her home from work the other day. She had to, on Sunday, they sent her home. You know, but there was nobody there. So it just, I'm not saying that it's a hoax or fake, Mike, but it's just something weird's going on. What do they have all the triage set up for? Is there something else coming up? And then I saw, right before I came on, they caught CBS again faking the footage. They were using footage from a doctor's office overseas where everybody had like the bubbles over their head. And then, you know, the guy was reading his regular script like, oh, you know, you need to self-quarantine and everybody stay indoors and stay away from yourself. And then they cut to the hospital scene. But then people caught it. It was like from some Sky News footage from overseas, like months back. So they got caught faking the news again, like they did with the Syria thing. So I mean, I don't know. Because people here, everybody's going out, walking around. It's like there's nothing changed. So I don't know. Maybe it's one big psyop, but I don't know, Mike. Something big's got to be coming, or it's just they really just played everybody again. So I mean.
Well, when this all started, you know, I reminded everybody about 2009 and the When Pigs Fly flu, and they said that one was going to be a slate wiper, and it turned out to be less serious than the ordinary flu. And this is starting to look more and more like a repeat of that.
I know, but I mean, they're still going to enact all the laws, and then you know, it's funny. Remember how you'd always say it's like a Soviet-style collapse, right? So It's like we're going to get the Soviet-style collapse, but we're still going to get the same government, though. Like, so nothing's going to change. You know, it's going to be even worse, like even more draconian, more tyranny, and.
You know, if it's a Soviet-style collapse, you know, we lose the tyrannical government and we get a republic.
I think we're just gonna lose all our rights and lose. It's gonna be like a communist state with the same people in power. Like nothing's gonna change. And then you got all those people that file Q that think it's some plan that martial law is a good thing, that they're gonna use martial law to round up all the pedophile networks or something. They're like cheering it on, Mike.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I don't know. Something crazy is going on, Mike. I don't know. Like I said, if anybody hasn't seen that, though, just type in like on Twitter, on YouTube, just type in like empty hospitals and then go to like your search function and make it like today or this week. You'll find hundreds of videos from all over the country where everybody's going to their hospitals and they're empty. So, all right, Mike. Well, thanks for taking my call, man. Have a good show.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go. And just to be full, you know, let's also do a search for full hospitals. And of course, around here, I can't ground truth any of this because I live in one of only 2 counties in Indiana that don't have any CV-19 cases yet. So our local medical facilities, I mean, they're not seeing electives. They've canceled all elective procedures. And I think it's more a case of everybody's hunkering down in anticipation that the thing is going to get worse rather than it's a problem right now. Okay, let's go back to the phones. Peter in Los Angeles. Aloha, Peter. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, the first thing I want to say, Mike, is, you know, honestly, I'm worried a lot more than I thought I would be or was worried about Dustin. I'm really glad. Said a prayer. I'm sure everybody out there, I'm glad to hear that he's okay.
Well, he's got
you're okay.
Not the coronavirus.
Pardon me?
He said he's got something. It's just not the coronavirus.
Well, thank God for that. But I was just I want to make 2 points. The first point is that it's clear to any, unless you're listening to Good Morning America, that this came from a laboratory somewhere.
Yes.
It didn't come from bats. It didn't come from some fish market or animal market or all the phony stories that were put out. It came from a lab, and it might have come from more than one lab. And whatever lab it came from, it was government supported. Governments have been spending billions of dollars since the end of World War II on bioweapons, on things that, even if it was not on purpose, even if this is an accidental release, what is this stuff laying around for? Why are we spending billions of dollars when you can drop a test tube and millions of people can die? That's the first thing. The second thing is how insidious this really is, Mike. Listen, my daughter got accepted to Harvard. She's a senior in high school. She just got accepted to Harvard about 2 months ago.
Congratulations.
And she's worked really, nothing that I did, believe me. She just came out that way. But she's worked so hard. I mean, she's really, you can imagine the test scores and grades that it took to get her in there. And at any rate, and I'm looking at her future, and I'm thinking, well, her college experience won't be anything like mine. If there is a college experience, and we don't even know that for sure, that how's she going to meet, a guy and have a family? Where do you go on a date? How do you meet somebody and have a normal love life, under this regime? We're not allowed to assemble. All these businesses going over, all these. So we know it comes from a lab, and we also now insidious is where father can't hold his daughter, a husband can't hold his wife, and you can't go out and speak with people or meet 2 or 5 or 10 at a time. It's all seems to be a thing of the past, and for the foreseeable future. The economy is devastated. There's been a massive, what we do know, another thing, we came from a lab, we also know that an ironclad result of this is there's a massive transfer of wealth.
Yes.
And it's a massive. And there aren't going to be any little guys, only big guys, and they're all publicly held, and all those guys will be held by the Federal Reserve now. No more little guys at all. In any industry, but the Federal Reserve and who those people are, they are going to be massively wealthy. But my point is, the end point is, the people who did this, the people who sanctioned the development of this stuff, even if it was accidental, no matter where they are, North Carolina or Israel or Fort Detrick or Wuhan or Canada, I've heard all these things, right? But all these labs are up and going. They should be ended immediately, and if it was done on purpose, they should be hunted to the very ends of earth and drawn and quartered. It should be like the last scene in Braveheart.
Yes.
We should never do this ever again, and stop this. And the gentleman, Paul, was saying, or I think Dustin referred to him about how we spent all the trillions of dollars, and he's right. Look, we've got all these aircraft carriers. That's what we're spending money on: bio-warfare, wars, 11 aircraft carriers that cost $13 billion plus the air. I mean, all this stuff, but it doesn't go to us, and it never goes to us. And now it's going to the Federal Reserve and the billionaires and. This stuff has got to end, and I want your comment on. I want to hear what you say about the articles they're saying about the merging of the Treasury Department and the Federal Reserve, and Ron Paul come out saying, "Is this the end of the Federal Reserve?" I don't believe that at all. I hope so, but I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
Well, I'm very concerned about a privately owned bank becoming part of the Treasury Department. It's basically privatizing the Treasury. And I think that's a very, very bad idea. But if you look at this coronavirus relief bill, what it's really doing is it's adding $16,000 to your total tax obligation to the government that they'll get somewhere down the road. And in exchange, you get a $1,200 check. So you think about that one for a while.
It doesn't take Fellini to figure that one out, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Well, that's all I have to say. Bless everybody out there. I was worried for a while about Mark from North Carolina. Hadn't heard from him for a while, but I'm really happy that. And I wish everybody prayers to everybody.
All right, well, thanks an awful lot for the prayers, and thanks for the phone call, Peter. We're going to switch over to Joe in Tennessee. Aloha, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I was I used to live in Florida, and I was really happy when this guy DeSantis got elected governor. I mean, look who he beat. I mean, you don't hear much about it, but the guy that he went against, Gillum, he got arrested in a gay orgy in a Miami hotel room with, and he was like inebriated on methamphetamines with some kind of gay porn star rent boy thing going on. So it's really a godsend that DeSantis is the governor there instead of that degenerate Gilliam guy, who I think he was on CNN too. You know, they had him as a commentator. His career is probably finished. But then again, that might actually be a good thing for your career these days with all the degeneracy out there. But it's, you know, I hear a lot of people calling up, and, you know, hindsight's wonderful, you know. But I'll be honest with you, I want a governor that is going to err on the side of freedom and liberty. I'm sorry. I mean, yeah, you know, maybe now and after, you know, a little time goes by, we see that maybe it's a more severe virus than we thought. But, you know, I'm a libertarian. I want freedom. You know, if you want to lock yourself in your freaking houses, go ahead. My freedom, my ability to go out and go to the beach has no effect on you if you lock yourself in your house, right? So yes. This whole attitude, I see everybody turning into authoritarians, and, you know, everybody whining, oh, he should have closed the beaches for spring break and all that. Well, look, just lock yourself in your house, go on oxygen, and maybe buy a sewing machine and make masks for people. My aunt's doing that. She's making masks at home. I hear everybody whining, oh, the government doesn't have enough masks. Well, you know, it's like Katrina. Everybody, oh, the government's got to come and wipe my butt, and the government's got to come and bring us food at the Superdome. You know, make your own mask, you know. I mean, I'm a biker. I use my bandana as a mask because, to tell you the truth, the only thing you really need a mask for, if you're just going around town, is to keep you from rubbing your hands on your face and your mouth and your nose. It's really about, the mask is really about protecting you from touching your face. So you don't really need a M95 unless you're dealing with sick patients who are coughing phlegm in your face. If you're just walking around, a bandana will pretty much do, and gloves. So, you know, I hear all this whining about, you know, and like, you know, even Pelosi, she's getting a lot of heat for talking about, you know, come to Chinatown. Well, at the time, you know, people were still grasping with what this thing was. And just like you said, it could be just another swine flu like hoax. You know, so I really get tired of hearing it all. It's all this, everybody's a critic on everybody's, the way they act. My major criticism now is that they bailed out all these corrupt banks. You know, yes. They're bailing out all these Wall Street people. Boeing, it's unbelievable that they bailed out Boeing. NPR, who won't even air Trump's newscast, got their bailout money, you know. And that's amazing to me because it really shows Trump. I mean, he gives them all this money and they won't even broadcast his national, you know, broadcast to the nation. You know, that's amazing. It's embarrassing. He should be embarrassed for that. Anyway, I'll let you go. I'm sure you got a lot of callers. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, we do have a lot of callers. We got commercials. We'll be right back. And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. We're going to go back to the phones to Andy in Texas. Aloha, Andy. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Andy, are you there? Andy in Texas. Okay, let's go to Paul in New Jersey then. Paul, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael. Michael, I've been hearing some people talking about why the hospitals are empty, and
yes.
So. What I usually do is I just go look up statistics and get an idea of what we're dealing with. And it turns out there's about 6,000 hospitals in the United States. Altogether, American hospitals have a total of about 924,000 hospital beds.
Yes.
In the country. Now, if you think about it, there's only 150,000 or so known coronavirus cases. And so that means there's going to be a lot of empty hospital beds. And that's part of the reason why the hospitals are empty, is because they're making space in case the disease exponentially expands, and that they're going to have to start filling these hospitals. They're just preparing for this. That's why they've sent hospital workers home.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and people also need to remember what happened in Katrina, after Katrina. Now, for one, we always can expect the government to be, A, wasteful, and B,
Yes.
misallocate these resources. Now, after Katrina, remember, there was a lot of, what do we do with the displaced people and the homeless and all the rest? And so they had some trailers, and there were thousands of these trailers, and they just plopped them in the middle of who knows where, totally empty, boring fields out in, I think, Louisiana, Texas area. And they were new trailers, and they hooked them up, and they were trying to make, like temporary housing for the refugees. And what ultimately happened is very few people wanted to live in these trailers because you were in the middle of nowhere. And also, and they were brand spanking new, and so most of them just rotted out in the sun, and the toxic volatile organic compounds were coming out of these things because they were just sealed up in the sun.
Formaldehyde.
Weeks on end. Yeah. And so basically it was just a complete waste of government resources. And that's what you can expect with this coronavirus too. You're going to see a lot of that. And so, this is part of the reason the hospitals are empty now. Another factor is the roads are empty, so there's a lot fewer car accidents happening now. Fewer people are driving to work, and people are not at work. There's going to be fewer work injuries, and people are at home. So this is part of the reason. I don't think it's a conspiracy. I think it's people with good intentions trying to make spaces for potential sick people. And on that note, thank you.
All right, Paul, thanks an awful lot for the phone call. We got to take a break for station identification. We will be right back. And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show, hour number 2. And we're going to go ahead and try and see if Andy in Texas is on the line. Aloha, Andy. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
All right, Mike. Can you hear me?
I can hear you this time, and you're on the air.
All right. So, Mike, I would really encourage a lot of people to go to the New England Journal of Medicine and take a look at Anthony, I guess it's Dr. Anthony Fauci, the guy who stands behind Trump at all these things. And just take a look at what he wrote. And you'll see how critical he really thinks this pandemic is. Okay, but having said that, a gentleman before me called, several calls back, and he was talking about all these hospitals being empty. There's a major program going on there. There's hashtag Check Your Hospital. It's on Instagram. It's on Twitter. And people are going there. And even they're going to the urgent care centers, and there's videos of the urgent care leader, actually, because he was calling it out. There's nobody here, blah, blah, blah. Boom. The lady that's in charge there popped him in the camera and hit his head and stuff. So I just really I'm not saying there's not a pandemic, so don't get me wrong, Mike, okay? I'm just saying that there's something fishy here. Let's look at that $6.2 trillion that they gave out. $6.2 trillion. And the American people get a whopping, 350 billion of that?
Yes.
A trillion and a billion are just miles apart here. Okay, we're going to get $1,200. I mean, by the time some of these people get $1,200, they're going to be destitute. I already heard stories here. I'm actually working in California. I think I told you that the last time. I'm from Texas, but I'm working in California, and I heard stories about there's over 10,000 people already that have already surmised to this because they live week to week, and their paychecks have been gone for 2 weeks, and now they're setting up tent cities along Highway 10, Interstate 10. I mean, this is not good at all, Mike. This is there's no coming back from this because. And look at the money. Okay, so if there's 6.2 trillion going out, there's 350 billion going to the people, but then there's 6.2 trillion. So whatever, do the math. That's a ton of flipping money going somewhere else. I think hospitals are actually being paid to tell us that there's more coronavirus people than there isn't. And I think that's proven by these hashtag Check Your Hospitals because they might be getting money every time they, ding, there's another coronavirus up there. and don't get me wrong, I would really like to, not in the real sense, but I would really like to think this is a virus and that what they're telling us is true. But I can't, I mean, all my research tells me that this is BS, but go to New England Journal of Medicine and read what Dr. Fauci wrote about this virus 3-4 days ago. And he's actually telling the truth there, that it's nil. It's not what we're saying it is. And I don't even know why he would do that, but it's there, and he said it, and it's written. And it just blows my mind. And so that leads me to say, what is the underlying thing going on here? What are they trying to do? So it's a reset. You were always saying that we can't keep going on with this economy because it's overblown and stuff. It has to deflate. Well, that's it. But now we have troop movements going everywhere. Donald Trump said he activated 1 million troops not to be deployed for more than 24 months. You got Texas activated 10.5 thousand troops in that area. And then you got a Jade Helm. That whole Jade Helm thing is actually coming to fruition here because they've activated all these troops, and the Jade Helm was a practice, and all these different people are being activated. So, Mike, tell me what's going on. Clear my mind.
Well, there's two things I want you to think of, and the first one is called confirmation bias. If you have a hashtag that says blue sheep, anybody who wants to get on there is going to be looking for a blue sheep. And never mind the fact that the vast majority of the sheep out there are red, they'll hunt down that one blue sheep, take a picture of it so they can have their 15 minutes of fame on Twitter. That's one thing. The other issue is, as that other caller said, all of this activity at the hospitals is not because the hospitals are filled to capacity now, but out of concern that they will be in the very, very near future.
Well, I've listened to some videos, legitimate videos of nurses that were sneaking around because they were in fear of being in trouble, saying, look, there's no tests going on here. They got people driving through and they're swabbing them with these swabs, but they're throwing them right in the trash as soon as the person drives away. They're showing video of this. I'm sorry, Mike. I just truly think this is a farce.
You run out of kits.
Well,
I mean,
okay, so
it'd be nice if they had the little flashing highway sign saying we're out of test kits, go home. You could trigger a riot that way.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm not trying to say this is BS because I went to Las Vegas and did some work for a minute, and I got, for whatever reason, 4 days being in Las Vegas, boom, I got nailed. I had fever. I had that dry cough, the burning sensation. Nothing coming up. The fever was just outrageous, headache, whatnot. And it took me almost 10 days to get over that. So I'm not saying that the virus, this is why I keep, that's how I can keep my sanity here as to whether it's real or not. Because I felt these symptoms and stuff, and I hadn't been sick for over 30 years. I hadn't even seen a doctor for over 30 years. So, I mean, I know there's something going on, but the fact of the matter is that what we're seeing on TV and what is actually happening is just not adding up. And so there is an underlying thing. Even if that virus is true and real and whatnot, there is an underlying thing going on here. And we need to get to the bottom of this and figure it out. It's a reset. It's a reset of our economic system. It's also reducing the middle class to the lower class because 401ks have been destroyed. There's no coming back from that. There's several different people who have lost tons of money. And if you look at the gold and silver market too, it's not fluctuating. When the market goes down, that stuff should go up, and it's going up, but it's not going up in a manner in which it should go up. Plus, most of the silver and gold is now on paper. It's promised to you, but you can't get it. You know, you can't foreclose on your paper and stuff. You just can't get it. So, I mean, there's a whole variety of things going on here, and I am just so frustrated. Thank God I actually am doing this remodel in the middle of the high desert, and I'm not subject to any checkpoints or anything like that, but I'm sure that's coming. This is a total breakdown of society. We got to control you. We got to take care of you. We got to do this. We got to make sure you got, and it's coming to papers. I mean, Nazi Germany's just an inch or two away from where we're at. Show me your papers, please. Anyway, Mike, that's all I got. I just had to get that out. But check out Dr. Fauci, New England Journal of Medicine, 3-4 days ago. He put out a paper. It'll explain to you that he doesn't even think the coronavirus is anything but what it's a cold. Coronavirus is a cold. And every death is being reported as a coronavirus. Even people who die, they check these people out and find that they had the coronavirus in them, so they report it as coronavirus, even though they died of a heart attack.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the phone call, and we're going to switch over to Tom in Florida. Aloha, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Michael, good day to you. Yeah, Michael, there's a lot of stuff going on on the idiot box. But, yeah, Michael, first off, the caller is calling about the hospital beds. That made sense, but I just got to say this. There's so many issues that's going on, and they are perplexing as heck. But our governor here in the state of Florida, DeSantis, just sealed the border off. In other words, if you come from New York and New Jersey, they're standing. The troopers are at the entrance of the state of Florida, and they're closing out. They're checking cars coming in and out of Florida now. That's I don't know if you heard that, but
yes,
what
I
I
heard
want to talk about is this. Yeah, DeSantis is closing that down, and it was a good thing that this guy Gillum didn't get in. And one caller is right, Gillum or that Stacey Abrams in Georgia. That's who probably Biden's going to pick for a running mate. Wouldn't doubt it. But getting back to what's really going on here, and your last caller is good. Michael, did you hear what happened with Trish Regan and Kennedy on their shows?
No.
Fox just fired them both Friday. They both got fired, basically. And they got this Donna Brazile, who's a racist, screaming, talking all kinds of crap. But she's on Fox News, and she used to be on CNN. Well, they kept her, but they got rid of Trish Regan, who's beautiful to look at, and Kennedy, whatever. But they both fired both of those women. They basically fired them because they were pro-Trump, and they were standing by Trump about this coronavirus. So they both been terminated. So I don't know what they're going to do with their time slots on Fox News, but I wouldn't doubt if they put Donna Brazile in one of those spots. And it's really upsetting to me because, Trish Regan was not only very beautiful to look at, but she was very articulate and very intelligent. She's a very highly IQ'd woman. But Fox News they're going like the rest of them. They're going CNN type. ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, they're all blowhard communists. I don't care what anybody says. Now, getting back to what I really wanted to call your show about, and this is why I want everybody to listen to this. You got Nancy Pelosi, Michael, out there wanting, and we're talking about Trump trying to build the wall. He got impeached. They tried to impeach him. They couldn't. They got the Mueller investigation, which cost almost $47 million. You had this impeachment, it will cost millions more dollars. But now all of a sudden they got $2 trillion on the plate, and Pelosi wants. Now there's another stimulus bill ready to come up in 6 to 8 weeks, Michael. I'm sure you're aware of that.
Yes,
just $2.6 trillion at the end of it. Okay, Pigs Pelosi wants sanctuary cities paid for. You got 8 million illegals, like I tell you. That guy was just calling you about Vegas. There's a lot of illegals in the state of Nevada. I'm sure he knows that. In California and Texas and all them other states out west and over here. Now, you got all these millions of illegals. All we're hearing about coronas out of Wuhan, China, the Wu flu, man flu. Okay? But we don't hear no much more now about the borders too much, except OAN's talking about it every hour and the hour. They show you the figures. Okay? We got Chinese nationals at that border, Iranian nationals at that border. We got Mexicans, Central Americans, everybody you can think of at that border trying to sneak into this country. Why do they want to come here, still come here now with this Wuhan flu? Because they're not, supposedly every state there's going to be no more jobs. But I've been thinking, wait a minute, I watched the news today, and, why are all these people wanting to come in here? Why are these people still want to come in here? And by the way, Michael, some of the major news networks are talking today that 95% of all the Wuhan fatalities have been over 81 years old. 81 years old is the average age for all these deaths. 95% of the deaths in America, United States, are 81 years old in age. The rest of them are younger, 5%. But 95% of these people are 81 years old or older, getting the Wuhan flu and dying. Well, I mean, they're 81 years old. I mean, we got to be practical about that. Now, getting back to immigration, Michael, you got all these illegals still trying to pour into this country. You got, I would say, like what you, I believe you're the one who said it, Michael. I believe there's 40 million illegals in this country. What do you think?
I think that's about right.
All right, thank you, Michael. I agree with you. I believe there's 40 million illegals in here. I already told you there's only 2.2 million people in agriculture. You got another people in this country, maybe you got 1 more million doing landscaping and lawn service. So I don't know where the rest of these 37, 36 million illegals are. Okay? I don't know what they're doing. Are they rocket scientists, or where they work at Wendy's or Taco Bell? Where are these people working? Now, you got a Democratic Party or Bolsheviks who want to flood this country with more votes. Okay? Now we're going through like you said, we're going to probably go into a depression. Who knows? I have no idea. I hope not. I pray to God not. But the way things are going, it does not look practical what's going on with this country. Now England wants their strictest borders. Now all of Europe wants strict borders. Even Germany's talking, wait a minute, we got to seal these borders off. Now, and what's going on here in the United States, Michael? Okay? Did you see the figures on the people who have tuberculosis that came in the southwest part of the United States?
Yes.
Did you see the figures for that?
Yes.
Can you tell the audience how many that was?
I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but I mean, these illegals that are coming across the border, they're bringing in all kinds of diseases, including at least one known case of plague.
Right. I saw that. And you know how many deaths I saw people have from tuberculosis in the last 5 years? How many people have died in this country? Over 58,000 people have died from tuberculosis-related illness. That is staggering. And you're talking about these crazy people in Washington talking about this Wuhan flu, and I still say part of it's probably doing because of what do you call the chemtrails. Who knows what they're doing with that nonsense? But when you talk about how many people have died from symptoms from tuberculosis, and like you mentioned, a plague, what's going on here?
And especially when tuberculosis had been eradicated in this country. So if it came back, it came in with the illegals. Anyway, Tom, listen, the phone lines are loading up, and I need to let you go here.
It came back with vengeance, tuberculosis. The tuberculosis just came back in this country in the last 5 years as a vengeance. It's a vengeance thing. And one more thing, Michael, I'll let you go. I know you got a caller. If this continues on, why do we even need nuclear warheads? Why do we have the armies need nuclear warheads when you can put a virus out like this? Can somebody explain that?
Well, because the danger with any biological weapon is that it mutates and comes back to bite the attacker.
Well, Michael, if this country is like this right now, and I remember, can you imagine if they did an EMP in the middle of the country? What that would do for this whole world?
Yes,
it'd be the end of the world. It really would be. Anyway, Michael, thank you for taking my call, and God bless. And I just think a lot of this is total nonsense, and we got to seal those borders off for the next 35 years, for sure.
Seal them off permanently.
For 2 stores.
Seal them off permanently.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks a lot. We're going to let you go. We're going to switch over to Dan in Washington. Dan, thank you for waiting so patiently, and I understand you got a better phone signal now, so what's on your mind?
Yeah, thanks for, sorry about that. Middle of Oregon and a big snowstorm up here in the mountains. But I called you a few weeks ago and asked what you would buy, gold or silver, and you said silver, and that's what I was thinking too, because the ratio, the value of silver is pretty low compared to gold, and I think gold was going up high. So I got home and I bought 25 Canadian maple leafs. It was about $480. But they're out. I called the store and they're sold out. He said they sold more maple leafs and eagles in the first couple months of this year than all of last year. And the Canadian mint is shut down, supposedly because of coronavirus, which I don't believe. And then for some reason, the American mint is shut down as well. So it's kind of like we missed the boat on that. I think you can still buy, and I've called Discount Gold and Silver and Liberty Gold and Silver. They both advertise on Rents Radio, and they're out unless you want to buy the big monster box of silver. So that's all I had to say. It's I think we kind of missed out on that. What the caller said that a while ago, and he said you could still buy them. You can buy some of the collector's ones, and it was weird how the price dropped right there, and I don't know what happened. So there's something going on here, but I think if you don't have your gold and silver, you're kind of out of luck for right now anyway, as far as the coins go.
Well, you can still buy what's called the junk silver on eBay, and you have to keep a careful eye on what they're charging versus what the melt value is, because some sellers will really up the price a little bit. But these are the pre-1964 coins where the quarters were real silver, the dimes were real silver, the nickels were real nickel, and so forth and so on. And it's a good way to sort of get your feet wet investing in metals. These are not numismatically valuable coins. That's why they're called junk. But they are, in fact, real silver. Anyway, listen, got to let you go. Got to take a commercial. Back with more phone calls after this. And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Miles in Maine. Aloha, Miles. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Good afternoon, Michael. Aloha.
Aloha.
I know a guy that he gives excellent service, tremendous prices. He can get you anything you want. And his name's Jeffrey Bennett, and he's right there at RBN. And if he can't do anything for you, and he can't get you a customized package that you want, nobody can. And I can tell you this for sure, because I've dealt with Jeffrey Bennett. He's been sensational, very knowledgeable, many years of experience. Silver and gold, yeah. Silver, gold, platinum, palladium, rhodium. He does it all. He really does a great job. But anyway, I wanted to talk because two of my favorite callers I like, I don't know what's gotten into Dustin, but it sounds like he's going into doomsday Dustin mode because, not everybody needs masks. Pardon me?
I said he's not feeling well, and even though it's not the coronavirus, he's still feeling under the weather, and that tends to color your perceptions.
Yeah, I hope he gets better. He's a great guy, but Dustin, it's not all that bad, I mean, like you were talking at the beginning of the show, Mike, we're finding ways to treat this. Trump's trying to pick the economy up. How far the economy slides, we don't know. It's like this testing. How effective is this testing? We don't know. So there's so many variables that we have no true value of at this point. But, we've picked up a lot in the economy, a lot of jobs and that. So say we lose some jobs. Say we do lose some jobs coming into June, and we slide a little bit. We weren't this far ahead when Trump took office. Let's just catch our breath and see where things roll out. If we can hold on, we slide back a little bit, we hold on, and we get some of these jobs back. Let's just see where we are by the third quarter, fourth quarter. The game's too early right now. We don't know the ramifications of it. And as far as Paul, another one of my favorite callers, Paul, a lot of people aren't going to these hospitals because they don't want to be around the coronavirus, so they're staying away. And, I think these people that are wondering and doubting what these people are saying need a good dose of our resident healthcare practitioner here at RBN, Steve Elkins, because Steve works in a hospital, and so does his wife. And he'll tell you, people aren't coming to this. As many people as they're claiming aren't infected, as they're saying. And if they were bad and they came into the hospital would not turn you away for liability purposes. If you were having difficulty breathing, your oxygen level's low, you're running a big fever, you're going to get a hospital bed, I guarantee it.
Well, I remember when I had my pneumonia, and I was at the urgent care, and they took my blood oxygen level and said it literally was a law that if my blood oxygen was that low, they had to send me to the ER.
Yeah. And so, you know, and it's that type of thing, exactly what I'm saying, Michael, what your experience shows. So I think people don't need to become a catalyst of the media and promote this even more. We know this media is not telling the truth. And now we're getting some of these other doctors now that are coming out. You know, it kind of reminds me of, Michael, it kind of reminds me of global warming, where we knew it was faulty, but they had put together all these scientists that said, oh, my God, you know, everything's going haywire, and we got to stop right now and turn around and, you know, quit driving and quit everything. Well, now we're finding out what those doctors were about. We found out what real honest scientists have discussed. So I think kind of that's where we're at this point. And until it folds out further, you know what I mean, and we get these the ramifications of what's going on, we can further estimate as to what the depth of this issue is. I don't think we really know, but I think to hit the panic button right now does nothing but works to our disadvantage.
Okay, well, thank you for the phone call. We're going to let you go. And for those of you who want to do business with Bennett for gold, silver, platinum, rhodium, palladium, get a pencil and paper because I'm going to give you the phone number here. And, of course, this is going to help RBN if you buy your silver and gold from Bennett. And his number is 602-799-8214. That's 602-799-8214. And again, if you buy precious metals from this source, it will help RBN, and we need the help. And, you know, things are very, very tight. And like I said earlier in the show, it's hard for us to ask because we know you're struggling as well. But here's an opportunity for you to pick up some investment metal, some wealth preservation, some insurance, whatever you want to call it. And again, 602-799-8214, and we'll be back Aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. We're going to go right back to the phones to Kelly in Austin. Aloha, Kelly. Welcome to the show. Thank you for waiting. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. Happy Corona apocalypse. You know, I've been thinking that I'm okay here because I'm retired and I have my income. But I look around and I see many friends of mine and other colleagues who are out of work or afraid of losing their jobs now because of shutdowns, politician-mandated shutdowns. And I look at this and I think that, you know, politicians who are promoting a lot of this aren't experiencing some of the pain that they're inflicting on other people. There's not one politician I can think of in this country who's going to miss a paycheck.
Yeah.
While other people are now waiting for a $1,200 check. That just doesn't seem to be. It doesn't seem to be fair. And I don't like to use the term fair very often because liberals have overused it. But there's really nothing commensurate in how this pain is distributed across the economy now. And I'm beginning to think that politicians need not to defer their salaries. They need to forfeit their salaries until this thing is solved. And if they had to forego their salaries, you might find that politicians would be willing to work more positively with each other to find quick and reasonable solutions to some of the problems we're facing right now. But this is just unforgivable. As I think about it, it irks my rear end to think that there's not one politician in Austin, Texas, from the mayor on down to the city council. There's not one statewide politician. There's not one nationally elected politician or any senator or whatever who is going to miss a paycheck. Now, doesn't that make you angry?
Makes me very angry. Now, in the blueprint for the New America, one of the provisions that we have in there is that politicians' pay is calculated based on the average wage and salary of the American worker.
I agree. They're paid way out of bounds with respect to what the average American makes. And I know they claim, well, it's expensive to live in Washington, D.C. Well, if you didn't pay them that much, it might not be that expensive to live there. Of course, they don't go to D.C. for perks. They go to D.C. for the under-the-table payments and whatever they can bilk out of the system down the road. But they still want that check coming in. You know, and I think if you see some shriveled up shrew like Nancy Pelosi suddenly having to give up her $175,000 a year, or some of these senators having to give up their $225,000 a year, you might get these people to work together to solve these problems rather than try to jerk people around. They're not experiencing any of the pain they had. They're completely disconnected with what the average person is experiencing right now. And I think that's just damned unfair. And I think that their constituents ought to demand that these SOBs forfeit their salaries until this damn thing is over.
I agree.
That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. I'm pissed off as hell about this.
I can tell. All right. Well, thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to let you go and switch over to Rick in New Mexico. Aloha, Rick. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
We are being played like a fiddle, and I'll explain. I think that there's two key points to why very smart people are being, let's say, taken. Number one, the PCR test, which is the most common test for this so-called virus. Now, I'm not saying there's not a virus, COVID-19, because I don't really know, but I doubt it. I'm not saying that this couldn't be something bigger, because our military's got a lot of nasty little microbes that they could release anytime. So there's always that in the back of my mind. But the PCR test, by the very own definition of the manufacturer, is 80.33% can give false positives. That means 19%, if you're lucky, are the accurate positives. The other point, theater and in the media, we already know that takes place from past false flags. I mean, come on, people. I worked in media. I can guarantee you it goes on. Complete theater. The reasons you're not seeing people at the hospitals, the reason that, like they'll say New York, the Elmhurst, we're flooded, it's terrible, blah, blah, blah. We'll take a walk down there. The other point I'd like to make is, so if the test can get false positives on a large scale, the more testing we do, which we hear all the time in the news, more testing, of course the numbers go up. But are they really accurate? So the numbers themselves are correct. So that, not to mention the fudging of them in other ways. That I think, Mike, you brought up about Italy and how they were done, and I think you're aware of that. Most people are that's done their homework on that. Real quick, the total number of deaths in the USA at present time, and we're almost at the end of so-called flu season, by the way, has been less than 3,000, 2,951. Now, we can look at CDC stats from past years of swine flu, all these other things, and it doesn't even compare close. World total, 37,128 supposed deaths in the world. Looks like we had a pretty good flu season. Not so bad compared to past flu seasons. Now, if you got a media hype in this, giving us a little theater, how bad it is here, there, like hot spots, as we hear, and it's not adding up at all. I've done my own research. I have several friends in different hospitals. Talk to Steve. He'll tell you it ain't happening. Not the way they're telling you. Now, one thing I'd like to make, and I'm done. One exclusion to this whole mess is, since we've been all over the world creating wars and beating up people all over the place, don't you think there's someone out there that might want to get us? So maybe they know something, the government that is. Maybe they know that we have a possibility of being attacked, and they took these measures to get us hunkered down. Maybe that was a good thing to do if that's the case. Maybe. But I will take freedom first and take my chances and don't like this at all, especially when I know I'm being played. Now, multifaceted. They took the economy down. So they got that. Okay? So this is definitely multifaceted.
The economy was going down anyway. It's just now they've got something to blame for it. That's
my point. That's exactly what I meant. So I guess I'm done. But please, people, check into this test and understand these numbers are not the reality. The numbers they're giving us doesn't fit the picture that they're making. They're painting in the mainstream news. It ain't there. I can't watch that stuff for 2 seconds without losing my mind, because I know the hype, the lies, the theater. They've been doing it forever. All our media is owned by military-industrial complexes. I mean, come on. Please do your research on this test. It's called a PCR test. That's an acronym for, I got it written down. And there's this fast testing. There you go. And this new test stage come up is going to, do it in 5-15 minutes. The accuracy of that test is probably even going to be worse. I don't know that, but look into it. I always find it to be worse than I thought. Okay, I'm done. Thank you. Great show.
All right, thanks an awful lot. And we're going to switch over to Sebastian in Sweden. Sebastian, thank you for waiting so patiently. What's on your mind?
I was going to reply to Dustin about the people, a lot of people on the buses and trains, and it represents the fatality rate in Sweden, which is 3.6% of the people who came up with this corona. And unlike other countries like Germany and Finland, is 0.9 and 0.8%. Germany has a population of 82 million. Sweden has 10 million. So it does make sense not to be so close together. The main, the epicenter is Stockholm and Gothenburg, the two largest cities. And even the train ride from those cities, it gives people this flu, if you want to call it that, or the COVID-19. And another thing I want to, Mike, say that I think this is so strange because I've never seen the military in so many countries on the streets before in any other flu epidemic. Of course, I was around in 1918. I don't know about what happened then, but I mean, I think it's something more than this. I think something's coming that we don't know about. I don't know. Maybe it's an extinction level event that that the governments in the world wants the people to get together with their loved ones or something before it happens. But it's just so strange. I mean, it's never happened before. No flu epidemic ever had the military on the streets in any countries, as far as I know. So what do you think, Mike?
Well, I think the military is there to forestall rioting when the food supply chain starts to collapse, which at some point it will. I mean, they're already expressing concern about the people who are producing the food being ill, possibly contaminating the food supply. They're talking about truck drivers are getting ill, and so the trucks are sitting idle. But all of this goes back to that British scientist who came out with this, amazing prediction. And I say amazing, not in a good sense, of how many people were going to die from this. And even he is now pulling back and saying it's not going to be that bad. And yet everybody is still going from those original numbers. And so what we're seeing, there's absolutely no question. The media is hyping it to build audience ratings. Governments are responding to that original set of numbers, which means if those numbers are not accurate, and the guy who came up with those numbers is now saying they're not accurate, then we are seeing a massive overreaction.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and take care. And congratulations to Peter's daughter in California for getting into Harvard. That's pretty cool.
That
take
is
care,
very,
Mike.
All right, thanks an awful lot. The phone lines are empty now, and let's get back to some actual news here. Now, Nancy Pelosi is out there blaming Trump for the coronavirus. And this is after she pushed tourists to visit Chinatown in late February, weeks after Trump banned the China flights. So she's out there saying that President Trump is fiddling while people are dying. Well, actually, Nancy, you were the one who was out there fiddling, visit Chinatown, visit Chinatown, visit Chinatown. Now, Trump is threatening to take over San Francisco. He's calling it a slum. In fact, he was interviewed by telephone on Fox News this morning, and he repeated all of this basically on Fox and Friends, saying that the federal government should take over the slum district of San Francisco. And so there's definitely a fight going on between those two. Excuse me there. And Trump said she's a sick puppy, in my opinion. She really is. She's got a lot of problems. The point he made that is really valid is that for 2 years, rather than take care of her district, because she's a member of the House of Representatives, and regardless of her role as Speaker of the House, she has a responsibility to her constituents in her home district, which is San Francisco. And she's been neglecting them. She's been ignoring them because she was obsessed with impeachment and getting rid of Donald Trump. So anyway, the Pentagon is launching a rumor control site to combat false virus info. I'd heard that somewhere, now that I think about that. All right. Senator Cotton and Representative Gallagher aim to end U.S. dependence on China-made drugs with a new bill. That would be a very, very good thing, because we're in a situation right now where the medications that are needed to fill the U.S. pharmacies are coming from China. There's been a big problem with counterfeit or substandard product. And the reason the United States passed laws to make it illegal for us to go to foreign pharmacies was to maintain quality, only to find out that all of the pharmacies, whether it's the United States or Canada, they're all getting the pills from the same source over in China. And there have been some major, major problems. And if we bring back pharmaceutical manufacturing, not just the reselling, not just the relabeling, but the actual manufacture, it's going to generate jobs here. And we won't be dependent on foreign countries anymore. You know, this whole coronavirus is one good thing out of it. It could be the end of globalism. When everybody realizes all the problems globalism caused. First of all, with the free, unrestrained travel spreading the disease all over the planet. And second of all, with everybody dependent on everybody else. And China gets a problem and they stop exporting pills. They've already stopped exporting certain medical supplies. So has Thailand. Thailand manufactures the majority of the world's face masks. They're not exporting them anymore. So let's go back to the phones here. Rick in South Carolina. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing? I was just wondering, is it okay to talk about the remedies for virus situations?
Well, as long as it's a real remedy.
Right. Well, you know, after H1N1, the bird flu came over 10 years ago.
Yes.
I saw a video on a company that makes vitamin C, and they showed a guy that was on life support in New Zealand, and the doctors wanted to pull him off life support, and the family wanted him to have one more chance, and they suggested that he'd be given some vitamin C, but his lungs were almost full with fluid. And so, you know, the doctors reluctantly agreed, and then they gave him 50 grams of vitamin C intravenously. Mm-hmm. And then they said, but if there's no improvement by Friday, we're going to take him off life support. So what they did was they checked on a Friday. They were showing like about a quarter of his lungs started to clear up. So they said, well, can you start giving him vitamin C then? But the hospital refused to. So their attorney threatened to sue the doctor, the hospital, and then the hospital finally reluctantly agreed and started giving him 5 grams a day instead of 50. But anyway, this company that makes this nanoparticle vitamin C, it's a lipospheric kind, so it gets highly absorbed, almost like a intravenous kind. And that guy fully recovered just because of vitamin C. And so since then, over the last 10 years, I've been improving on the remedy, and I've included vitamin C, and then vitamin D, and then zinc, as well as stevia concentrate, and as well as the aspirin, because aspirin helps to absorb. What?
It sounds like you're trying to advertise a product.
No, I don't sell any product.
Oh, okay.
No,
I was just checking, because it's not fair to our other advertisers. Okay.
No, I'm not mentioning no company names or nothing. I'm just telling you, lipospheric vitamin C is made by many different brands. Okay, so I'm not mentioning any companies. But anyway, so over the last 10 years, this is what I found, is that every time you get the first symptoms of the virus, you can completely eliminate the symptoms within 6 hours if you take a high-dose vitamin C and those other supplements, which I just mentioned.
Okay.
And I've done it numerous times. Now, if you have, the virus already set in for a couple of days, it will then take 3 to 4 days to cure it or to eliminate the symptoms, because once it's set in, it's a lot harder to get rid of. But if you start taking it the first time that you sense the symptoms within a couple hours, then it will be gone. And I've done it many, many times with many of the people that follow my protocol. They've had the same success. An 88-year-old lady, a 92-year-old man, and an 85-year-old lady. So it works with old people.
Thank you. Thank you for the information. We got to let you go and take the picture. Our punishment. Aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. We're going to take another phone call from Dave in New York. Aloha, Dave. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mike. Yes. Yeah, I hear a number of people getting upset about the fact that their hospitals are empty or not overloaded in their area. They don't see anything going on, and the economy shut down. And you might even think it would be reasonable to have it open in your area, but the whole thesis behind this is that you could have sudden outbreaks in areas that are exponentially growing, and with a large incubation time, you could run into a significant problem. Now, the fact that we don't see it in one area doesn't mean it's not occurring in other areas. So when the British invaded in Massachusetts, the people in North Carolina said, I see nothing happening. But did the British really invade? Yes, it was really there. Now, I'm not down in New York City to see the Elmhurst Hospital or anything like that. But also, when you look at Italy, they say, well, what's the magnitude of this? Of course, in the USA, maybe we have 2,600 deaths. It hasn't materialized to a lot yet, but the country is also locked down. That's a very different situation than the normal flu. But in Italy itself, we see they're reporting like 11,500 dead. And that's a whole flu season. And all those deaths, almost all those deaths occurred between March 4th and March 28th. So I think there could be something to this. I mean, we can't just discount it as face. What are your thoughts, Mike?
I'm in agreement with you. I mean, it's growing exponentially. It's still growing. And when they talk about flattening the curve, they're talking about, making it less severe. But at some point, it could potentially overwhelm the hospitals. And I think that's what they're getting ready for. And the fact that there's a surplus of hospital beds now should not be taken to indicate that there isn't a problem out there. It's like I said a while back,
right.
It may not look like it's a problem now, but it has the potential to be a problem somewhere down the road. And I think that's what everyone's getting ready for.
Right. And I think, but the most positive thing I've seen is that Trump really deep-sixed Fauci, who is like trying to sell vaccines, basically. I mean, that's what these guys seem to do. And Trump said, let's try this hydroxychloroquine. And apparently there's this Russian doctor in New York City. He tested out on 699 patients with 100% success rate. And I hear them saying they took the drug one night and were better the next day. So
okay, Dave, I'm sorry.
That's real.
I got to let you go. We're almost out of time, and I've got one more caller. Keith Rogers, I understand you have something for us.
Mike, Mike, thank you. I'd like to have Mike play that video that I have sent to him there on Twitter. Then I have just a short commentary after that, okay?
Okay, go for it, Mike.
Colonel North, in your work at the NSC, were you not assigned at one time to work on plans for the continuity of government in the event of a major disaster? Mr. Chairman.
I believe that question touches upon a highly sensitive and classified area. So may I request that you not touch upon that, sir?
I was particularly concerned, Mr. Chairman, because I read in Miami papers and several others that there had been a plan developed by that same agency, a contingency plan in the event of emergency that would suspend the American Constitution. And I was deeply concerned about it and wondered if that was the area in which he had worked. I believe that it was.
May I most respectfully request that that matter not be touched upon at this stage. If we wish to get into this on...